My name is Misty Bateman, and I manage the Clatsop Works Student Internship Program in Clatsop County, also cooperative work experience at Clatsop Community College, and the Clatsop Works Give Me 10 program, which we just launched last spring. So I'll be talking about that as well. Hillary, did you have a way to share with me so I can pop those slides up, or wasn't sure how that works exactly?
You want me to share the PDF? Happy to.
Oh, no, no. Can I share my
Oh, yes, you should be able to
share
share.
screen?
Yes, yes, you should be able to.
All righty. So let me pull this up here. Okay, there we go. All right. Can everyone see the slide there? All right, cool. All right. So all of the students that you'll see in the deck here are students who have gone through the Classic Works program. So I love to highlight what they've done in these presentations and what they're continuing to do. Again, my name is Misty Bateman, and mainly I'm going to be talking about Classic Works and then a little bit about the rest of our work-based learning programs, and just kind of giving you a background on how the program came to be and the parameters of how we now work this program and keep it going and how it's growing, and also how you could create a similar program if you were interested. So I'll talk a little bit about the framework, the value we think that these local paid scholar internships bring to our community, the impact on our economy, and how you identify who your partners and your stakeholders and the community that you need to work with to make this program work in your region. So this summer, our program had 31 employers who hosted 43 student interns throughout our county. And since 2018, we've partnered with the employers throughout Clatsop County to enable 212 Clatsop County high school and community college students get these work-based learning opportunities. All of these are also paid. So all of these students have had a paid internship opportunity in the summer working with the Clatsop Works program. A little background, this program was actually industry driven. So it was one of the main employers in Clatsop County, Hampton Lumber, who actually approached the Astoria School District back in 2016, which predates me. I didn't come here until 2022. And they said, what can we do to offer students some sort of an internship with industry in our county? And so from there, they took it to the superintendents of the Clatsop County school districts. They worked with Cedar, who is one of my umbrella organizations that I work underneath, and with Northwest Regional to kind of see what can we do? What can we put together here? At that point, they met with representatives of the McMinnville Works program, which is a very similar program, but focused on Linfield University students. So Clatsop Works wanted to emulate that program, but focus on a younger audience. So with high school students and community college students. And then interestingly enough, McMinnville Works itself, which was based on a welding program, kind of apprenticeship model. So before everyone came back from that first breakout room, we were talking a bit about how great it is in Oregon that we share these ideas and can build upon the model that another Oregon county is using to create these exciting programs in the different areas of Oregon. So obviously the school districts were on board. A statistic that I found that was interesting is that 79% of high school students nationally, they want some sort of a work-based learning opportunity, but only about 34% of them have any idea how to access something at their age level. So this program gives a way for younger students to access some sort of a paid internship opportunity. So the funding for our program, all of the school districts in Clatsop County, as well as Clatsop Community College and the Northwest Regional ESD contribute to run this program. So the entire program runs on $100K a year. And for the school districts, it's based on population. So Astoria School District here in Clatsop County has the largest student population, so they pay a larger percentage of that 100K, down to Jewel School District, which is our smallest population of students. They pay a smaller portion. And I believe in the beginning, the school districts were using their Oregon 98 funds. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing now. It might have changed for them since 2016, but it is still funded by the school districts and by the college, and then by a small grant that we get from the ESD as well. And one of the reasons that I think the Clatsop Works model has been successful, they placed this program with the college, but underneath CEDAR, which is the Clatsop Economic Development Resource Center, which also hosts the SBD, so the Small Business Development Center. So when I came on board in 2022, I immediately had access to all of the business connections that CEDAR already had throughout Clatsop County. So I had a way to immediately get in touch with businesses throughout the county. I had introductions. I was able to form those partnerships and those relationships with the businesses through the inn that I had through CEDAR. So I think that worked out very well. But the program remains employer led. So the employers in the Clatsop Works program who partner with us, they are the ones who create the internship. And I'll talk a bit more about that. So the program started out very strong, ran the first cohort in 2018, but then we had COVID happen. There was some turnover with the Clatsop Works coordinator position. And by 2021, the program had kind of stagnated a little bit. The original 11 employers were still on board, but they were still the only employers that were on board. And so when I came on in 2022, I had some ideas for things that we could do to grow the program, and I'll talk about those. But you can see that in 2025, we had our largest numbers yet. We had the largest number of students who applied to the program. So I feel like that is a good gauge of student interest in participating in this program. And we had the largest number of employers who participated and offered internship opportunities. So like I was saying, there were the main core of the original employers were still on board. And that's amazing. I am grateful for those employers every day because they continue with us every year. I think they've done, 7 or 8 years running now, but we couldn't keep this program growing if we only ever had those same 12 employers because we need more career fields. We need to have many opportunities to attract a larger population of students. So I was making it my goal to attend as many business meetings as I could throughout the county. So the chamber meetings, downtown development meetings, anywhere where business leaders and industry leaders are gathering, that's where I was going to get more employers on board with our program. To spread the word with students, I spend time weekly at our local high schools. I go into our community college classes just to make those connections with students at the college level and with the juniors and seniors at the high schools. And not just tell them about, oh, these are the internships we're going to have this summer, but make sure they understand the difference between these paid professional internship opportunities and their typical summer job so that they know the benefits to them of going toward one of these internships. Because sometimes the internships do not pay as well as Panda Express or McDonald's. Sometimes they're not quite paying the same hourly salary. So I need to talk to the students about the other benefits of these internships beyond money and what they can do for their future and their networking. And I'll talk a bit about that too as we go through. We've also expanded. Originally, the program was really just targeting the 5 Clatsop County high schools and the college, but I also began outreach to our alternative schools in Clatsop County. So we have Tongue Point Job Corps over here. We have a couple of other alternative schools. We have homeschooled students. And so I was working on how do I get this message out to the students who are not right at the high school, right at the college. Worked out really well, 10-point Job Corps. We have had several 10-point Job Corps students who have participated in the program. And then I also created an annual cycle for the program. It was sort of, it would kind of change every year. Um, Student deadline for applying was unpredictable. The employers could kind of jump on board anytime they wanted, but I wanted a very predictable recruitment cycle. So now, do I have that on the? Yes. So now all of my employers begin registering in October 1st, and they have a deadline of December 15th. And the reason for that is that beginning in January, I spend a lot of time in the high schools and the college classes, and it makes a much larger impact on the students if I can tell them exactly what internships we have coming up that summer than if I can just say, we're going to have some. I don't know what they'll be because employers are coming and going at all times. So this way, when I go into the classrooms to talk to the students, I can show them exactly these are the internships that are available to you through this program. And then they get more excited when they can see exactly what they can do. So we have firm deadlines for the students, for the employers, um, for just everything so that the program runs on a yearly annual cycle now. And then it gives me things too for my annual calendar that I know in the fall I'm really focused on employers, getting employers into the program. And then in the spring, I really switch over to, I'm mainly all about going into the classrooms and talking to the students about the opportunities that we have coming up. So exciting. We've experienced 182% growth in the number of employers and 124% growth in the number of student applicants, which to me is a gauge of whether students are hearing about the program and whether it sounds like a good time to them. So, in a nutshell, our program, we partner with employers throughout the county to provide students with professional paid summer internships. The internships begin around mid to late June and they run through about the end of August. That can vary. We're very flexible with student and employer schedules to kind of make it work for everyone. And any student who is 16 or older and has a what I would call at this point a Clatsop County connection. So they're either one of our high school or community college students or homeschooled or alternative school. They're a student here in the county or they're a recent graduate. So I have students who graduated from one of the Clatsop County high schools, and now they've gone on. They're at OSU or they're Portland State or they're at Hilo University in Hawaii or they're all over the place, but they're coming home for the summer. And when they come home for the summer and they say, can I still apply for this program? Yes. The answer is yes. If you're a Clatsop County student connected student, you qualify for the program. So our interns come from, like I said, all over the county, from the college, from our alternative school, recent graduates who've gone away, come back, and then of course any of our Clatsop County high school students, 16 or older. So when I'm talking to employers, of course, I'm wanting to make sure they know what their ROI is for this program. How will this program, obviously the program is student centered. Our main goal is to help the students. But if I want employers on board, there has to be a benefit for the employers as well. There has to be a perceived benefit. So when I talk to the employers, I make sure they know all of the things that I'm going to take care of for them. They're going to have this large pool of applicants that will already be tagged so that they can just focus on the applications that have an interest in their career field. Those students are going to have assistance putting together those resume application packets, but also workshops on career readiness skills and soft skills, employability skills, and that at all points the employers can reach out to me if something is going on that they don't know how to handle. They have me as a resource. But then I'm also talking to them about all of the things that these young students will bring to their business. The just the youthful energy, the new ideas, the incredible social media savvy that some of our older business owners do not have. Um, we see a lot of employers who want a student to revamp their entire marketing plan and make that, more hip and more on brand with what's going on right now. And the youth are great at that. So there's just always that balance of communicating with the employers about, obviously the main point is to provide that student with a valuable learning opportunity, but also here's what it can do for your business. And then when I'm talking to the students, I'm emphasizing to them all the ways that this internship will be better for them in the long run than if they were to take another summer at Dairy Queen. And not putting Dairy Queen down, obviously, but just letting the students know these internships are going to give you networking opportunities. And you're going to have the professional development career exploration, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Your resume looks better when it has a paid internship on there. Always that possibility of a long-term job. So just getting that message across to students that these internships are not your typical summer job. And then the student messaging always includes trying to make this as easy as possible for students. So students can apply on our website, so they can go online. One application puts them in the running for every internship that's available that summer. And they are not absolutely committed to taking an internship just because they applied to the program. Applying does not commit the student, it just makes sure they're in the running if there's an internship opportunity that they are interested in. So students can go to our website. This is just a little screenshot of our website, and they can find out all the information they need. Their application link is here on the website. Short summaries of every internship are on the website, but there's also a link they can click to get to a full page job description so they can get deep in the details if they want to. Originally, it was kind of a surprise to students when they would go to the interviews as to how much money they would be making that summer. And one of the first things I did was say, nope, that doesn't work, because I hate that as a professional when I'm looking at a job opportunity and I have no idea what it pays. Maybe it will pay my bills, maybe it won't, but I don't want to waste my time if it won't. I need to know if that's a viable job option for me based on my current budget. And I see no reason why students should not also know before they put their energy into the interview, what is the salary for this position? So now I require that the employers include that in the internship job description. I think that's important information. Everybody wants to know how much money they're going to make. So this is a list of all of the career areas that we have now been able to include in the program. We don't have every single career area every single summer, but this is the career areas we've had since the first cohort ran in 2018. So we're increasing the amount of career opportunities that students can look at. Every year, we're able to add more and more career fields to the program. So in addition to the internship, a parameter of the program that employers agree to ahead of time is that while the internships are running in the summer, and they're about 8 to 10 weeks, every Wednesday morning, the employer has to release the student to come hang out with me. And what we do is we go on these professional development career exploration field trips. So ahead of time, I have worked out with different venues throughout the county that they will host my whole intern cohort on these Wednesday mornings, and the students have a chance to look at other career opportunities. So that gives them, one, a chance to see other careers that they may or may not have even known about, but also gives them a chance to see all the opportunities in Clatsop County. So it may be that there's a career they are interested in that they didn't even think they could do in Clatsop County. So it can help keep some of that young local talent around if they know that the career they're interested in is actually available here. but it can also just introduce students to careers they didn't even know about. So in this particular one, we had one of our sessions with Stahansa Kent law firm in Astoria, and they hosted a session where they let all of my interns do a mock trial. So some of the interns were the defense, and some of the interns were the prosecution, and other interns were the jury. And they got to do an entire mock trial with one of the attorneys at the law firm acting as the judge. So it just gave them some exposure to what a legal career might look like. And we've done that with all kinds of businesses throughout the county. We've done Columbia River Bar Pilot headquarters, and they talk to us about what it's like to be a Marine bar pilot crossing the graveyard of the Pacific, the most dangerous crossing in North America, and what kind of money you make when you're a Marine pilot at that level. What does that career field look like? We've done construction, welding, healthcare. Um, Last summer, we did some urban revitalization, EPA brownfield, and just giving students these looks at careers that they didn't even know existed. And that's been really exciting to see the students to kind of discover maybe a new interest that they're going to check out now. We've also had some really great success with internship to career pathway. So we've had students who have used the internship to launch into a career or to use the internship to go into the education career pathway that they're wanting to go to. So Delaney, who is in the middle here, was an intern with Columbia Memorial Hospital, and they hired her as a lab tech, but what her passion was phlebotomy. And so they let her go to the phlebotomy area of the hospital. And she was a nursing student at CCC, by the way. And she was great. They hired her. So before her internship was even over, they'd already offered her a full-time position as a phlebotomist, which was exactly what she wanted to do. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, honestly. She wanted to practice doing a blood draw on me, and I'm like, nope, no, no, I'm phobic of needles. But if you're into that kind of thing, then she had that, that great career option coming up. And students who have done the internship multiple times. So Nathan, in front of the police vehicle there, he was on his third Class of Works internship when they promoted him to their lead intern, and he was able to move up a level in responsibility. Jaden, up on the top right in front of the police vehicle, he did the Class of Works internship with a police department. And then right afterward, they decided to open their own cadet academy so they could train their own cadets instead of students having to go off to some sort of a police training academy and then coming back. And they hired him as their very first cadet. So now he is a full-time officer with Cannon Beach Police Department. And that just started as a high school senior doing a Class of Works law enforcement internship. But now he's a police officer, and I see him when I go over to Cannon Beach. Out of the students who've gone through the program, I know of at least 29 who were hired by their internship employer to move on to career level possibilities. And there may be more. It depends on whether the student gets back to me with that information. But I know for sure 29 students have moved on into full-time positions with their internship employer. So there are these long-term job possibilities for the students. Again, just more information when I'm talking to the employers, just telling them about this is the ROI for you if you participate in our program. This is what a student intern can bring to your business standing in the community. And I think this message is received pretty well by the employers. Something I have noticed is that I think that the students who actually apply to this program, because there's a bit of effort involved, they have to make the effort themselves to go to the application, to fill out the application, to upload their resume, to create a cover letter. They tend to be motivated students who really want some sort of a career level opportunity in their younger years. And I think that's showing in the quality of work that the interns are performing. So these are compilations of the employer evaluations on the soft skills for the last 3 years on a Likert scale of 1 to 5. But you can see that, this is an average when the employers are doing the rating, and then I'm averaging it out from the whole intern cohort. The students are staying in between 4 to 5 on a 1 to 5 scale for these basic employability skills. So that is something else that I can show potential employers who are considering the program. I can show them this and say, this is how the interns have been performing for the last 3 years. So the chances that you're going to get a quality summer employee out of this program are high. So another great thing, we had funding available from an original grant in the beginning from Northwest Regional. And then we had a grant the last 2 years from ODE. And that grant enabled me to help employers, particularly the nonprofit sector. So, and that's so great because mostly internships are in your profit businesses. It's so rare to find those nonprofit employer internship opportunities because nonprofit employers don't have any money. So this gives us the ability to help employers who have a valuable work-based learning internship that they would love to offer to a student, but they can't pay the wages. And all of our internships have to be paid. So this enables me to give grant funding to the employers in our county to help them pay the wages so that we can have even more employers participate, and from particularly from our nonprofit and our small business sector, to give students even a larger look at what kind of careers are out there. They're not all at the for profit level. Sometimes we're looking at nonprofit careers, and this has been great to put more students and more employers into the program. And then in addition, once we have employers on board, I host an employer orientation for all of our new employers, and just make sure they understand the parameters of the program and the Wednesday morning sessions and how they release the interns to me. But I can also help them with BOLI because some of our employers have never hired a student under the age of 18. So they need a little help to know, what do I do to get my certificate to hire a minor? And some of our employers, particularly in construction and automotive, it can also help them get the student learner exemption so that they can help a student 16 or 17 actually use a couple tools. It's not a lot of tools, there's only a few exemptions, but in those areas, maybe the student can at least use like some small woodworking tools and a hammer and some small automotive tools when they're underage, as long as they have that student learner agreement. So different ways I can help the employers to offer these opportunities. And then of course we get testimonials from all of our employers so that I can share those with future potential employers. But I love this photo. Coastal Restoration is an employer who has been on board with us from the very beginning. And this picture was taken in 2024. And I had gone over to Coastal Restoration to do a check-in with Tyson, who was my current summer intern with that company. And when I came over there, I realized that they still had Walker there, who had been the 2023 intern. They hired him back the next summer. And they had Nick, who was an original 2020 Class of Works intern, who had never left that company and who is now a project foreman. So he has made this 2020 internship his career. But Coastal Restoration continues to work with us every summer. And at any given time, I can pop over there and see like 3 or 4 of our interns still employed by their company. So that's always really fun for me. And just messaging that I give to the students when I'm talking to them and to the employers. How is an internship different from your typical summer job? Because every once in a while, I do have an employer who will reach out to me and they will send their internship job description. And I have to find a way to gently explain to them that that's just any old job that a student could get for themselves for the summer. So you have to be able to describe to the employers those little tweaks and those little differences that will make it a internship as opposed to your typical summer job. So I have some resources and references that I can give to the employers, but also I'll just sit down with them and talk and help them kind of take that summer job and turn it into an internship so that at all times the student has learning with some work, not a bunch of work, but just a little bit of learning, which is kind of the most basic way to kind of differentiate the internship typical summer job. And then last spring we launched the Give Me 10 program. And so that is kind of it's a way for employers who would like to get involved, but they really can't commit to a full summer internship. But also students who would like to get involved, but they're just not really sure that they want to spend their whole summer. So this Give Me 10 happens during the academic year, and it's just a 10-hour micro internship or even job shadowing. It could be either one. Maybe the student's shadowing the whole 10 hours, maybe they're doing a little bit of work, but it happens during the school year and it takes the student out of their high school classes and puts them at a business for, let's say, 2 hours every Thursday for 5 weeks so that they get to just kind of get a little look at a career that they're interested in. And we launched that with 4 students from Napa High School. This is Zach. When he reached out to me, his career field of interest was maritime transportation. And so I was able to match him with the boat yard at the Port of Astoria. And he just did a little 10-hour, a little micro career experience during the school year that kind of was able to show him what is it like really day to day in this job that you think you're interested in right now. And now he knows whether he wants to continue that direction or maybe it wasn't what he thought it would be. It's a good way to try it on and find out. And then I also do obviously cooperative work experience at the college, uh, paid work experience, or excuse me, paid or unpaid work experiences that the student gets credit for through the CWE program that I run at the college. You can check out our social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We like to feature all of the students who are going through the program, but also the employers who are partnering with us throughout the program. So we feature those employers as well. Oh, I feel like I talked a lot. Any questions for me? Oh, I need to unshare. So we have, how do I, wait, okay, get rid of that. There we go. Okay.
Thanks so much, Misty. I think there's quite a few questions in the Q&A. If you don't mind, I will just read them out loud to you.
Yes, that was, yeah, I'm like, I don't
Okay.
even see the Q&A.
No, great. How much can students earn with the internships? And it might be a range, but
Yes, there is a range. So when you're at the complete nonprofit level, those employers tend to be at minimum wage. So right now in Clatsop County, I think we just went up to 1505. So I do have, internships that are at that minimum wage level. I think the highest we've had was around 24, 25 an hour. That tends to be in the trades. But mostly I see my employers averaging out around 16 or 17 an hour. I want to say that's the average that most of our partner employers put for their wage is about 16 to 17 an hour.
and then is that paid through by the employer or through that grant with the
So
ESD?
all of the internships are paid by the employer unless the employer has filled out my application. So I only have a limited amount of funding each year, but the employer can fill out an application that comes to me so that I can vet their internship description and make sure it's, good. Um, and so I think last summer I had 6 or 7 employers where I paid their intern wages. And the way I do that is there's a calculation for, the internship will be 8 weeks, 25 hours, or how many hours it'll be, multiplied by the hourly wage, multiplied by 1.2 to cover payroll taxes, and we get a lump sum. And then I just give them the lump sum so they can pay the wages out of their own human resource procedures. And then at the end of the internship, they turn in a report to show me if they've spent all the money, and if they didn't, they give back what they didn't use. So that's how we do that. Yeah.
Awesome. I think you hit on this a little bit, but could you talk a little bit more about how you pitch your internship opportunities um, and, and the benefits of those when you're talking to a youth and inviting them to participate in that instead of taking that, fast food job or a
Yeah, yeah.
farm job or something like that?
So, luckily, I have very good access to all of our high schools and the college because I work for the college and the high schools pay for this program. So there is no opposition to me coming into the schools. So that makes it maybe easier for me than sometimes for other people. It can be difficult to get into the high school here because the high schools are paying for this program. They want me to come in. So I have a weekly presence, like I said, at the high schools in the fall. And in the spring, I'm actually coming into all the junior and senior classes so that I hit every single junior and senior. And I give a full presentation. Like the faculty are letting me come into their classroom and I give a presentation to the students and I introduce every internship that we're going to have for the summer. And just that can get the students fired up. If I because these a lot of these internships are really fun and exciting. Last summer we had uh, a beach lifeguard with Seaside Fire and Rescue, so you're getting some you're working with the Seaside Fire and Rescue, so emergency response. But you're also on the beach all summer. So like many of the internships are pretty exciting. But still, I talk to the students about the networking that will happen for them. If that's the career they're interested in, they're going to meet people who are doing this for a living, who can then connect them with other people who, are doing it for a living at a higher level. And they're going to get all this networking. And I talk to them about, do you know how much better your resume is going to look when it has paid professional internship rather than I did Taco Bell again last summer? um, but we also talk about the job shadowing because all of our partner employers, in addition to the internship, they agree that the student will receive weekly job shadowing opportunities. So, and then I have stories from my previous interns, so I can talk to the students about, like last summer's intern with the police department got to job shadow with the officer on New Year's Eve at night, at midnight, talk about all the fun things they saw when they were out doing that. So obviously, I'm trying to get the students excited about the potential of the internships and where they can take them. Oh, and then I talked to them about all the students who've been hired and turned that internship into a career opportunity. So any way I can to share with the students the benefits that I see happening with my previous students in the programs, I take that opportunity to share those benefits.
Okay, two more from me. If people have other questions, you're welcome to put them in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll track them. So another one was, do you focus some time in your workshops for coaching transferable skills? So
Yes,
like okay, great.
yes. So during that career exploration sessions that we do every Wednesday morning, during the internships in the summer, we have 8 sessions. The first session has the orientation. So I'm just kind of orienting the students to the program and what the expectations are. But we spend the second session doing an employability skills or soft skills workshop. So first I talk to the students about, just stats that I see out in the world of business that at this point employers would literally rather hire an employee who comes fully equipped with some pretty strong soft skills and has no idea how to do the job than an employee who absolutely has all the tech background for the job, but is really kind of poor at the employability skills. So I have these activities for the students to do so that they can see how the employers will value you if you are a good communicator and you have conflict management skills and you have work ethic and you don't even necessarily need to know how to do the job because if you already come fully equipped with this strong set of soft skills, most employers are perfectly willing to train you because it's so hard for them to find the soft skills now. So, and then we do some activities on that I try to make very fun, but so that the student can see how important those basic soft skills are. So yes, we do a whole workshop on that, and then we do career exploration until the very end. And at the end, we have kind of a final session where the students sum up what the whole experience has been for them. What have they learned? Where do they want to take it now? Just a way for them to present to their peers, the other interns in the cohort, this is what it was like for me. This is where I want to take it now. And it's kind of a very holistic, we're all a group and we talk about what comes next. And that's what we do for our final session.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, more things have been added. Okay. Uh, for the Give Me 10 opportunities, do those earn high school credits too, since you said they were during high school time?
Yeah. So that's up to the high schools. Each high school is doing it differently. My portion of that is that I created all the paperwork for the high school so that they are covered for liability. We get parental permission for the students to leave school to go to these opportunities. And then also, I created liability paperwork for my employers. Because if I have an employer who's like, yeah, I'm willing to let this kid come in for 10 hours, but I don't want to get sued if they trip or something, whatever. So I created all the liability paperwork that releases the employer from everything up to death. I mean, obviously, I do not anticipate any students dying, but we don't want the employers on the hook for anything. And yeah, I got off the track there and lost the track of the question. Oh, so then for the school, they can decide if they want to make that for credit. I created a career packet for their students so the students can kind of use this packet to use some online resources as well and kind of narrow down like 3 careers that they want to try out. And then they send me those careers. And then it's my job to find an employer in at least one of those careers who's willing to let the student come hang out for 10 hours. But then it's up to the school whether they want to make that for credit or not. That's completely up to the school. And each school is doing it differently.
Awesome. For the students who don't get hired out of their internship, how do you support them to connect to other opportunities?
So all year long, I get a lot of people reaching out to me with like, oh, we're going to have this summer. It's some sort of, internship or apprentice thing, or just maybe interesting summer jobs I hear about. Like I pile these things up so that once my deadline is passed for the employers and I have my full intern cohort, I can reach out to all the applicants and I try to keep in touch with all the students who've applied through this summer so that they know that there's a real person on the end of the website application. So, and they've seen me in the high school, so usually they know how to find me. But still, I try to keep in touch with them. And then at the end, I let all the students know once all the internships are filled in the most gentle way possible that it didn't happen for them this year. But here are a bunch of things I know about. If any of these are of interest to you, reach out to me. I'll help you go for this thing or the other thing. So I just kind of keep a whole basket of resources to hand out to the students who didn't make it into an internship at the end so that there's other things they could look at and other ways I can help them if they're still interested in some sort of a summer opportunity.
Awesome. Do you have ways to support and stay connected with students after they complete their time with Clatsop Works?
So I feel like this kind of follows along what you were saying earlier about it's not official. The students have my text, my cell phone number, my email. They know where my office is. We've spent all summer together. Um, they just keep in touch. It's not an official thing, but they just keep reaching out whenever they need me, including texts at like 11 p.m., midnight, all hours of the day. So it's been very unofficial, but I think I make it very clear to them throughout the summer we spend it with each other that I'm here. My contact information doesn't change. Feel free to pop by my office in Seaside whenever. So it's more that unofficial, I'm still here, reach out when you need help.
And your services or support for students, does it end at a certain time or could people reach out to you even after they graduate?
Oh, no, they do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
After they graduate, they're reaching out all the time. Yeah. They'll say, oh, like I told you, I went to Portland State, but I want to come home for the summer. Can I still do class of works? Or, well, can I do this? Or, so yeah, they definitely reach out. I'm apparently eternal, no matter how old they get.
I love it. Did anybody else have questions that they just want to come off the off mute to ask? We covered everything that was just posted in the Q&A. So, let's see. Sorry, I thought somebody raised a hand. Any other like thoughts or reflections that people want to share? Do other people have similar programs or have like a nitpicky question that might be like, oh, how do you do that exactly? Like we're struggling with that. Anything specific?
I just want to say, this is Jim from Southern Oregon Youth Works. Being new to this space is just incredible to see. Kind of finished a lot of thoughts I've been having, and yeah, I would love to just understand this, even a more deeper level or be able to review your slide deck. So if you're okay with it, emulate a little bit of this. It's just really, really cool and love what you've done and the way that it's structured. We're kind of doing a lot of one-to-ones and it's going great. We're getting placements and traction and seeing really strong participant success. But having something that is a little bit more manageable. We've got a really small team, and so when we're kind of doing these one-offs, it creates a lot of administrative work, and so I can just see some really cool ideas on how to streamline that. So really appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
And some other people have just repeated that in the chat in case you can't see it, Misty. Yeah, really outstanding work and a great presentation. Misty shared earlier her slide deck as a PDF. I will also share that slide deck, any other future materials, our slides at the end of the event as well, so that you guys have all of these resources to refer back to as well.
And I see that Mary said in the chat, I think my chat was just too far up. Yes, the student pictured in the hospital scrubs, he was hired by Columbia Memorial and he's still there. That was Michael. He was a 10-point Job Corps student and was snatched right up by the hospital. So actually, I think honestly, every student we've had who's done a hospital internship gets hired because the hospitals, they see that talent and they snatch them right up.
That's awesome.
I'm at Lane Education Service District, and my kind of day role, normal role is CTE Regional Coordinator, so supporting all of our CTE programs in the county. We have, just for some context, there are 16 school districts that we support, or that our team supports, and within those school districts, there are approximately 113 approved CTE programs of study. And that's kind of, my umbrella, my work sort of sits within supporting those teachers and those programs. I'll let Hannah introduce herself. She sort of spans her her space is a little bit broader and bigger. But Hannah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Hannah Eberly. I'm also on the CTE team with Shireen, based at the ESD, but also part of the STEM team here. And somehow now also the Career Connected Learning Navigator with LCC. So my role is Career Connected Learning from mostly K-12, and we really try to focus on providing opportunities for career exploration, hands-on skill development, things like that, middle school, high school, and beyond. Yeah.
And Hannah, I'll just give a quick, for anyone that is familiar with the structure currently, there are career connected learning navigators that are housed at the community colleges for the most part. And LCC, which is our community college, unfortunately lost their navigator and they never got replaced. And so we were able to, through a partnership, essentially coordinate with them and partner with them. And so, as Hannah mentioned, she fills that role as well, which was honestly very convenient for us because she was already doing a lot of that work. And so it just was like a natural fit. So
Mhm.
yes, that's us.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I have a few slides. Um, Let me do that really quick. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I guess we're here to share a little bit about our industry educator matchmaking platform, which I've renamed here Classroom Community Matchmaking Platform. And we're calling that program Future Ready Lane. And our goals, you can see we've partnered with our local economic development nonprofit and our workforce board to put this together. And this is really our pilot year. So we are just now lifting this off the ground, but we've been thinking about it for at least a year, if not more, and kind of behind the scenes, setting up all of the supports that are needed to kind of lift a platform and a system like this off the ground. So these are our goals for the platform. The main one, of course, is to increase career-connected learning opportunities for K-12 students. And the way we want to do that is by bringing industry and community partners into the classroom. So the goal is to strengthen the network between schools and businesses, and especially, as Shreen mentioned, we support 113 CTE programs, and all of those teachers are expected to connect with industry and to partner with industry. And especially in our rural school districts, it can be really challenging and time consuming for those teachers to go out and find industry partners on our own. So our goal is to kind of meet that need and fill that gap for them, do some of that legwork for them. Um, I guess I did not really start off by saying what the platform is, but really what it is an online site that educators can go to and see a whole list of industry partners. And they can explore and request to be connected with those partners. Um, Here, maybe I'll jump ahead and show you. This is kind of what it looks like as an educator. You would jump in, you'd make an account, and you'd be able to access the site and see all of these partner profiles from partners around the county. You can see just from this small snapshot, there are partners across all career areas. And you could click into a partner profile and learn more about how they want to engage with you in your classroom. Specifically, you can see, where they're from, what their role is, what grades they want to work with, what kinds of in-classroom supports they're willing to kind of engage with, and how often as well. So you can see kind of like how available is this person. And from the partner side, sorry, I should have done this backwards, but from the partner side, um, all you have to do, it's very simple. You fill out your interest form, which answers all of those questions that teachers have about how do they want to engage, when and where. Um, and then you follow up with a classroom agreement and a background check for anyone who wants to go in the classroom. And I'll explain in a minute kind of why we chose to do that. And then all you have to do is wait for us to be matched with an educator. So it's a really simple process for the partner. So when we were building this platform, we really thought hard about how it would work and how to make something like this run smoothly and work well for all the people involved. And a big piece of it was clear communication of exactly how all of the partners can engage with our schools. So for partners, this is great because they want to know, how can I help? How can I support? How can I be involved? And we make it really clear by offering a menu of in-classroom supports like guest speakers. They can support with classroom projects. They can come in for mock interviews, or they can be a guest judge. Those are our current options. And for teachers, it's great as well because, again, it's really clear what the partner is available for, and there's no guessing about availability, or are they really interested? They said they wanted to work with schools, but is this asking too much? That kind of a question. And then we also, at the regional level, have decided to do background checks for all of our partners before they go into the classroom. And this helps for partners to reduce redundancy, because a lot of our school districts require like a really basic background check whenever you're working with students in the classroom. And we don't want our partners, if they're going from one school district to another, to have to fill out that paperwork a million times. And then it's great for teachers because it reduces the administrative burden of having to go through those steps and take the time to do the background check. So the matching can happen much faster, and the time between requesting a connection with a partner and actually getting them in the classroom is a lot shorter. And then, like I said before, we really wanted this to be easy to use for everyone. So it's a really simple page for teachers. All they have to do is click in, fill out their request form, and get connected. And it's a really simple process for partners as well. I'm going to pause there in case, Shireen, if you want to jump in and add anything.
I have some thought. You're doing great, Hannah, and we'll just go through, and there possibly might also be some questions, and I might think of some, but keep going. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Well, maybe I can show you a little bit more about just kind of, I wish I had a few more screenshots here, but this is, like I said, basically the main page that teachers see when they sign in. Like when you click on a profile, it zooms in like this, and you get to see the details. And then there are two options as a teacher. You can either request to connect with a specific partner by just clicking on that tab. So that makes it really easy for them. And then you fill out these forms as a teacher. Or on the homepage, there's also a space to submit a general visitor request. So basically, you just say, I have this need. Can you please find someone to help me? And we will try to make that happen, starting with people that are in the database. But if there's someone they need that's not in the database already, we'll go and recruit as well. And I should mention that all of the recruitment for these partners right now, we have about 45 active vetted partners, and we are just launching, is in partnership with Collaborative EDO and Lane Workforce. So they have been huge in recruiting and reaching out and kind of sharing our goals with this platform as well. Yeah, so like I said, it's our pilot year. Later this month, in 2 weeks, we're having a kickoff networking event, bringing together CTE teachers and partners, both already vetted and some new partners, hopefully to recruit them. We'll be continuing to recruit. Like I said, we only have 45, so hopefully we'll continue to grow that number. We'll continue to work on refining the process, smoothing out those connections, and building relationships with everyone. And that's the overview here. So if anyone has questions, feel free to jump in and I can dive deeper into any part of this.
Hannah, I did notice in the Q&A there are 4 targeted questions that have been asked that might spark some. One of them is your industry partner platform something that you developed in-house, or is it a paid program that you're using? I'll tackle this one. We actually are using a platform. It's called Group Trail. Some of you may be familiar with it. We originally brought it in-house. It's a developed platform to do tracking of variety of pieces of tracking, but specifically, we brought it in to look at tracking students in work-based learning, and pretty much quickly discovered that it was way more to chew on than we were sort of prepared to. Every district kind of has a different tracking system, student information system. Some of the bigger districts versus some of the smaller districts that are using spreadsheets. Anyway, long story short, we kind of realized that that was not, we didn't want to use the system for that purpose. But we also then knew that we had this need for creating some system that we're talking about here that Hannah's presented. And Group Trail had the behind the scenes, some of the pieces that we were able to kind of plug into. It is not a perfect system, Hannah will tell you. There are lots of things to sort of work through, but maybe I'll let you, Hannah, sort of um, talk about this sort of current state.
Yeah, so Group Trail is a pretty complicated software that isn't necessarily all that user-friendly. So we've kind of taken on the brunt of learning how to navigate the platform and simplifying it for our teachers so that it's really easy for them to use, and they don't have to deal with any of the messiness behind the scenes. And really trying to set up so all of those integrations work well together. It takes a little bit of uh, troubleshooting, but
And what I will say real quickly around the cost is that we were able to, because we're a consortium, we have a Perkins grant that comes in to support a broad array of efforts, and our districts all collectively agreed that they would be willing to put, I think we're paying $12,000 for the year to basically use this software, and that includes some supports from the Group Trail staff to sort of accommodate and make different changes. Hannah's doing most of it herself, having to learn some of the ins and outs of it, but yeah, so that's kind of that question. And can partners remove themselves if their availability changes? Hannah.
I the plan is we haven't reached that point yet, but the plan is to do an annual check-in at the end of the school year and ask partners to say, hey, okay, thanks for this year. Looking ahead to next year, do you still want to be a part of this platform? What is your availability? Kind of reset annually.
Yep.
And I think that kind of also answers the second question from Sarah. Is there a process to check the partners each year?
Yep.
Exactly. It's the kind of that exact moment to say, hey, has your role changed? Are you still at the same company? Do you still want to participate? Those kinds of questions. Um,
And then
as
the,
far
yeah,
as
the
vetting,
vetting.
yeah, the vetting question is a good one. Um, and it also connects to the reflection question that follows. So we ask partners if they're going to enter classrooms to agree, and I don't have a screenshot of this, but I'm happy to share it, to a classroom agreement, which is basically how to treat students and be kind in the classroom. People come from lots of different backgrounds and have lots of different attitudes towards students. So we kind of try to set some norms before we bring community partners into the classroom. Um, and then after each visit, we ask teachers to reflect on how did it go. So if we hear back from teachers that, you know, the industry partner was engaging with their students in a way that doesn't match those classroom agreements, we've made it really clear with the partners that if they don't follow those guidelines, they will be removed from the platform. So that's our current plan. We'll see if we need to tweak that. I'm sure there will be things that come up that we have to respond to, but the whole point of this pilot year is really to test our structure and to improve it and make all of that smoother. But yes, if I go back here, you can see there's a post-visit reflection form, and we'll follow up with teachers after each visit and connection point to ask them to reflect. And all of those reflections are visible to all other teachers in the county. So they also get to see, hey, this was a great visit. This was a great partner to connect with, or that didn't go so well.
Other questions? We can't see the Zoom room, so I'm not
Oh,
sure.
here, let me change the view so you can see things again. Let me do.
Do we have more slides, Hannah?
I have
Nope,
a,
that's it. I can also
Okay,
stop
great.
sharing.
I have a
There we go.
question. Just like it sounds like this is, such an awesome way to connect folks into those classroom conversations. How do these fit in with the other like CTE opportunities that you connect youth to? Like, is there ever been an experience where a visitor ends up being like a job opportunity? Or I'm just, yeah, curious how that all works together.
So yes, I will just reiterate that this is a pilot, like we're in the pilot year. We literally just, in August, we launched the interest form. We've vetted, I think, just over 40 industry folks at this point, 45. Is that right, Hannah? I think. Um, and we literally, I think this week, the first teacher, the true matchmaking has like occurred.
Got it. Okay.
And then we have the kickoff event. But what I will say is that kind of parallel to all of this, we've revamped a regional advisory structure. And so we're bringing CTE programs together with industry and our college by career cluster. And we're hoping that sort of all of these things start to happen where our community partners and our industry folks really feel a sense of connection to the schools and to students, whether it's through classroom visits, participating in an advisory committee. Maybe they get inspired to host we have an externship program where teachers can go do host an externship or an internship, working with some of our CBOs to try to foster more of that. So I think, yeah, it's really kind of we're hoping that this just sort of
Our hope is that that's exactly what
grows.
happens.
Yeah.
The goal is to create a foundation where there's this sense that connections are happening. There is some network. There is a little bit of an ecosystem around this where teachers and classrooms and students and industry and community partners are all kind of converging. So our hope that is that by creating that environment, so many things can grow from there. But it really feels like this is the first step on the journey of creating those really robust relationships.
And I'll also add, it makes a lot of sense, right? To sort of have CTE be kind of one of the focus areas, at least initially. I think the vision is that this is teachers across,
Mm.
core content teachers and, fill in the blank across the K-12 spectrum. As Hannah said, this is sort of like building out the ecosystem. We want students, regardless of where they sit, to feel like that there's a connection point for them to get inspired, to feel like, oh, that's really cool, and to learn and sort of build. So CTE is sort of that logical landing place. And I don't think that's not going away, but building out from there.
Thank you.
Tried to raise my hand like a polite user. Um, I've got a couple other questions too. You had said that you had about like 4 to 5 things that are currently available to partners. Do you anticipate eventually being able to also open that up to site visits? Like there was a question earlier when we were kind of like grounding ourselves, which was like, we want to reach out to community partners, but we don't want to overwhelm them with asks. Like if a lot of people are asking them if they can come and see their site, like we don't want to be overbearing and we don't want to make a good relationship bad by like pressuring them. Is there an opportunity to maybe also use this platform to help coordinate in-person visits for youth to job sites?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, our interest form includes both in classroom and out of classroom. So we already ask our partners about that, and that includes internships, tours, I think career fairs, things like that. The reason I haven't highlighted that so much is because our matchmaking is really for the in-classroom stuff. We have another community organization in Lane County called Connected Lane County, and they do a lot of coordination of internships and tours. So we're at the ESD level focusing, and the CTE team that really focusing on in-classroom career connected learning and kind of passing along those leads to Connected Lane County for their tour programs and their internship programs and things like that. So it is a little bit two-pronged in that sense.
And I think just to your point though, was it Hillary who asked the question? That folks get overburdened, right? On all ends of the spectrum. And I think one of the things that this system can do is really sort of like tease out how much truly does an individual or an organization want to be involved. And then, Hannah and the ESD, our team, we've kind of positioned ourselves as a sort of a sorter, if you will, to try to help with that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's also also intentionally made the design choice not to include contact information in the profiles that are visible to teachers, because we don't want our partners to be overwhelmed with requests from teachers all over the county. We want to make sure that when teachers are requesting, they include all of the relevant information that someone might need to know, and that, they aren't requesting someone who doesn't have availability or has already done 3 or 4 visits that year, something like that. So yeah, like Shireen said, we're putting ourselves kind of in the middle as that sorter to reduce the friction and reduce the asks that aren't serious, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you will you have access through the platform to be able to see like how many times like a certain employer is getting sent requests?
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
hmm Hopefully, this will also really help us be able to measure how much interaction there is happening in Lane County, at least through the platform. Of course, teachers have their own relationships and bring partners in other ways, but through this system, we'll be able to tell kind of who's being served,
Who's
and
being
be able
served?
to, yeah.
Totally. I was just going to say there's that sort of on so many layers. There's this equity and access issues that are being kind of tackled. And I would say there's also, not only just reaching those rural schools that often just end up sort of being left out or forgotten if they're not, near the urban core, but also, we can clearly see, oh, there's, 30 construction folks, 2 healthcare, and only 1 call. All right, we need to do more work and sort of recruit more over here and so it gives us something to work off of, and also, on both sides to try to assist.
My
And I'll just say lean on our workforce partners.
True. Yeah. We've got I don't think anybody from Lane Workforce Partnership is here, but Logan's representing Northwest Oregon Works from their workforce board up on the coast, on the northwest coast. There I have got 2 more questions. Yeah, love data-driven programs. I knew, Ryan, you would appreciate a data access situation. So a lot of the folks on the call, we've got some people from boards, we've got people from other ESDs, some folks from community colleges, and then folks from community-based organizations. How do you anticipate the folks from like community-based organizations connecting to a platform like this, or utilizing that as a way to also like expose young people to other career opportunities as well?
I will say we have quite a few community-based organizations represented already in the platform. Um, we really want to encourage not just industry, and I think it's challenging to figure out what the right language is to make sure that we're inclusive enough. The goal is to recruit local professionals, right? Anyone who's a professional who has some career expertise to share with students is and should be a part of this net that we're casting, right? So that does include community-based organizations. We have several, for example, there's the Western Regional Environmental Wetlands. I don't remember their acronym is hard to remember, but we have a few that are really excited and they have their own programs. And sometimes in the additional info space, they link their website or talk about what other programs they have to offer teachers. It's basically another space that they can use to advertise and connect with teachers because I know there are a lot locally that try to do that.
And before this platform existed, how did you guys as the ESD um, build relationship and partnerships with community-based organizations? Did they come to you? Were you going to them? How do you recommend that like partnership growing?
I think it's a bit of both. Shireen, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll answer some and then if you have other thoughts, Hannah, too, please fill in. I would say it's really been building out almost organically, whether through projects that are happening and or through advisory committees. You know, I know the STEM Hub has an advisory group that includes a lot of CBOs, and also like through CTE programs, just as projects are happening, bringing partners in. But there's not been like, again, it's a send an email here, someone comes to a meeting. It's all very, I would say, pretty informal. Yeah,
We have a few spaces where we connect with community-based organizations. One is through our curriculum leaders monthly,
yes.
which is, curriculum leaders from all the districts, plus community-based organizations and the higher education. Um, and then we also, Shireen mentioned the STEM team. We have a group called STEM Beyond Schools, which is basically a networking group for community-based organizations connected to STEM education. And that's actually how we reached the Wetlands group and a few other groups that are on the platform now. So it's a few different spaces. It's been a little bit opportunistic, like Shireen says. So it's kind of exciting for us to have something to refer people to that makes it more concrete and makes it feel like more of something rather than just a one-off connection with some person working at the ESD, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you have to add so when somebody submits a thing on the website, whether it's they're looking for a recommendation or they want to be a partner, do you have to go in and individually approve each of those things and then get it posted?
So it's auto-populates based on the form. So all of that information gets auto-populated, but we do have the check process. So we go through a few steps, but it's both communication steps and vetting steps. And then once they're approved, we kind of check a box and the software moves them to another space that becomes visible to all the teachers in the county. Oh, and I want to mention one other thing actually about that view. If you're a teacher, so Lane County is pretty widespread from the coast to the mountains, right? So if you're a teacher on the coast, we've basically divided the county into regions like northwest, south, east, and central. And so if you're a teacher in the west area, you'll only see partners that are willing to come that far or to come to you. You won't get to see partners that are not interested in coming to your region, which I think is really important because if you are a rural teacher looking for someone and you see this great someone who's a perfect fit but they're not actually interested in coming to you, it's kind of a disappointment. So there's that piece too. Sorry, I just remembered that caveat. Yeah.
I'm curious, kind of to Hillary's question about, what that workload looks like. Like how much work does, because I'm sure people are listening to this and they're like, this sounds great, but we're already at capacity in so many ways. Like how much work did it take for you all to get this off the ground and going? Like, is it your whole job? Like, what does that look like?
It's not my whole job.
Okay, good.
Um, it's not my whole job, but it is right now, it is a lot of my job. Because we're really like this is the big lift point. Um, it definitely takes time. It definitely takes time, and it takes a lot of time coordinating with our partners so that we're doing this together and not trying to lift it off the ground by ourselves. And that always takes more time, right? So
So would you say that like time spent with the technology and the platform versus relationship building, it's more of that relationship
it's
collaborative?
absolutely more relationship building. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had really sort of frank conversations internally as a team, and it's like, okay, we're kind of like watching this, right? I mean, this is a pilot, and who knows? I mean, if this thing starts to explode, there may come a point where it's like even having like in terms of like human capacity to keep all of this moving, we'll have to sort of revisit. But I think collectively, whether it was the workforce board or the ESD, the community college, like all of these partners have said, this is really important to us.
Mhm.
So everyone is committed. Now, the ESD is clearly doing the big lift. Um, but yeah, everyone's invested in some to some degree.
Great.
So
Could you elaborate a little bit more on one of the partnerships that you had featured on that front slide was with your local um, economic development uh, organization. Could you talk a little bit about more about developing that relationship and what they've been able to help with?
so collaborative EDO, which is the economic development arm of it's a nonprofit, but it's they receive a lot of funding dollars through the workforce partnership. And so they work specifically in developing sector partnerships and working on special projects. Um, and they have there's been a relationship with them since they got started. They're obviously, as a part of the workforce board, we're partnering with them on a lot of projects as well. So it was just a natural connection point, and I think they see the value in in really, it's a win-win from their perspective because they want to see they want to be able to demonstrate that the region is actually, building and growing workforce, particularly with youth. And um, so, yeah. So we have, I think from the moment that we kind of like, there was sort of like a clear moment where we said, okay, we're all going to put some energy into this. And I think we've been meeting, I would say probably at least once a month, Hannah, would you
Mhm.
say? So that's with the collaborative EDO and our workforce board um, representatives, and just coming together and troubleshooting and talking about it. And they've sent partners over
Mhm.
for Hannah to invite. Um, they're going to be hosting the matchmaking, the kickoff event that we have later this month. So there's this like, kind of like hand in hand.
Mhm.
Does that help?
Yeah. They were also involved in bringing partners to the table to help us kind of figure out how the interest form should look and all of the pieces that should be on there because, again, we want it to be user friendly and frictionless. So we don't want to be asking unnecessary questions and we want to kind of get to exactly what partners want to see. So getting partner feedback on that through our economic development organization was really helpful.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting how these diverse partners have come together to use the ESD as a hub for this information and these connections. So I think that's kind of my takeaway, is that that's very inspiring. And I guess I'm curious if you've heard any interest from other regional education service districts, if they're also like being asked to be that same kind of hub for partnerships.
Yes. I mean, there are some models that are popping up, and we're in conversation. For better or for worse, right? The whole local control piece. Like in my mind, I would love it if we could all sort of like, and that's what we're doing here. This is a shared learning space, but um, it, folks are sort of, I think there's a demonstrated need, and so folks are kind of taking it upon themselves to develop some different ways of doing this. I know Clackamas has something that they're launching, and so Clackamas ESD is a kind of leading some of that work in partnership with other folks there. Similar kind of model. And I would say, I mean, Mary, are you still on?
Yes, Serene. Sorry, it took me a minute.
It's okay. So I mean, I'll speak for our network of CTE coordinators, and we were housed, community colleges and ESDs, but there's a strong network of CTE regional coordinators, and I think we're all kind of like keeping our ears to the ground, sort of, paying attention to things that are happening and wanting to not reinvent, so to speak. So
I think we all learn. I think what you're getting at, what you kind of picked up on when you were talking about Clackamas, is we all learn from each other. And
Yep.
we have our own regional cohorts, but we get to come together as statewide and we always share ideas. I think you're a great thought partner. You know that. So,
Well, you are too. And it's, it looks different. It looks so different in Astoria than it does, you know, in Eugene. Um, and so there definitely are some geographic, you know, um, considerations, but the reality is we are ultimately trying to open up and create access for these students that are all over. And so, anyway, yeah.
I will say one thing that's pretty unique about Lane County, in my understanding, is that the ESD, the STEM hub, the community college, and the workforce board all have the same boundaries geographically, and it's really rare for that to happen. I don't know if there are other regions that are similar. So that makes it a lot easier to collaborate across organizations because we all have the
Yep.
same kind of service area.
Thank you for bringing that up, Hannah. It is a huge, I mean, that truly may be one of the kind of the biggest benefits. Yeah.
I guess, yes. I guess one of my, does anybody else have any other questions? I feel like I've taken some space. Some of those were questions sent to me. Some of those were my own questions. Did anybody else want to come off mute to ask any other lingering questions?
I had a question about whether just the general public could access the form. So I just Googled it and answered my question. So I would just put a link in the chat for anybody who's interested in like what that looks like for
Yep.
yeah, community members if they're interested in filling it out. It's pretty simple, straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Is the screenshot, I know I should just Google also, but is the screenshot that you shared that like displayed the partners, is that publicly available too? I know they wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to request things. Okay.
No,
So
it's only
students
visible
can't
to
be like,
teachers.
hey, invite this person.
No, students can't see it at the moment. Right now, we're really just trying to provide a tool to teachers so that they feel less alone when they're looking for industry. That was kind of the idea of that platform. So, yeah, the interest form is public though, so I'm happy to share that link.
Yeah, she shared it. Awesome. Well, I think it's really exciting to see. I hope that, your first year of piloting this goes really, really well. Um, the folks in this room all know like what a need that is and how much it means to have somebody that can like kind of carry the water and like support that. So yeah, thanks for doing the work.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Just thinking about how wonderful it would be to have a statewide version of this. But,
That crossed my mind.
y'all have kind of laid the groundwork, so definitely something to build on.
Hey,
Wonderful.
we're all about sharing, as Hannah said, any of like forms or process or any of that. So um, no one should feel the need to reinvent for sure. And yeah, statewide model would be amazing that could be accessed. Yeah, that regions could access and use in their areas.
Absolutely. Well, one step at a time. All right. Well, speaking of one step at a time, thank you all again. Let's give some virtual, the like hand clapping thing celebrations. Thank you both so much for taking the time.